Hi, I'm Pam, and I would like to welcome you to the Live Authentically show. My team and I help other people step into their authentic realities a number of different ways. The show is one of them. I also have my debut book, Soar, out there, SOAR. It's on Amazon, and you can check that out. Also, I am an executive coach, and I help executives reach sky-high levels of success in all areas of their life, personal and business. And also new this year, which I'm super excited about, is I am getting into public speaking now that we are on the other side of the pandemic. So I just agreed to speak at a summit in Nashville in the fall this week. So I'm super pumped about that. So if you guys ever have any public speaking opportunities, go ahead and message me and we can make that happen. So we have a great show planned today. I've got John Cerasani with me. Hey, John.
How you doing, Pam? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this for a while. John is a personal friend of mine, and he has a great story to tell. He's making a huge splash in the VC space. He's the founder of Glencrest Global. So he's going to tell us all about what he does in a bit. But one of the areas I'd like to start is by asking you the same question that I ask all of my guests, and that is around authenticity. So I'll ask you, how do you live authentically every day?
How do I live authentically every day? I'll tell you what, I think by keeping my priorities, the main thing. And that might sound a little bit cliche, but remembering what my priorities are. And for me, people might think it's business related and professional, but at the end of the day, for me, it's my family. And everything else that I do, I'm doing for really ultimately for my family. And, whether it's the ability to spend more time with them, put them in a better position to succeed in life, or just experiences that we share together. That's really how I authentically live my life.
I love that. I think it's so important to keep your priorities front and center. I think it's easy to lose sight of priorities, right? I mean, I know I've gone through different points in my life where I've gotten super busy when I was in corporate, working crazy hours, and things can get out of whack pretty quickly without even really realizing it. So that said, have there ever been any times in your life where you felt like things were really out of whack and you had to kind of redial in to your priorities?
Oh gosh, yes. Oh, too recently, if you want me to be totally honest. I had a situation that's a great situation. I'm not asking anyone to feel sorry for me here, but I sold my company and had what we call an exit, and that when you sell something for a significant amount of money or really any amount of money, I guess it's an exit. And I had to work for the private equity firm that bought mine for a number of years after that. Well, anyone that's sold their business to another competitor or whomever else and has to work there as a regular employee after you've built this business and now you don't own the business that's your baby, there's certain challenges that innately come with that. So there was some financial incentives during that time there for me. But really, it kind of turns into dead man walking. You know what I mean? You know it's a limited time there. It's not yours anymore. The vast majority of the money you sold it for is already in your bank account. So it kind of put me in this weird position in life where I had been so laser focused for years on building that business. Wow. Now all of a sudden, I'm not building anymore. I'm just kind of like, just here. I'm not as important as I was. Employees that I hired, that I trained, that are at where they're at in life with good careers because of the opportunities that I gave them and I did that. Well, they're not even answering me anymore. And they're just kind of looking past me and trying to go up that corporate ladder over there on something I built. So your ego definitely takes a little bit of a hit with that. And you got to just kind of step back and remind yourself, you're the one who made that decision. I didn't have to sell the company. I did it because of what they were giving me for it. So you got to take those blows. But I frame all of that to answer your question, Pam. During that time, I lost focus of where I wanted to be in life. And then even after that, after I had a 5-year obligation to work there. So those last 3 years there was basically like, the first 2 years was the honeymoon. The last 3, it's like, like I said, you're like a walking zombie and you have bosses and all the stuff you're not used to. And, then that ended. And then there was about a year after that I didn't work, period, really. and had to kind of just like, all right, what am I even doing here? Because I was in a position, thankfully that I didn't have to work, and I'm very glad to be in that position. But okay, well, what the heck am I doing with my life? I talked about my family earlier. Luckily, my son, I got custody of my son when he was in fourth grade. All on good circumstances too, by the way. I don't want anyone to draw their own conclusions there. But he had lived in a different state for years, and he started living with me, and that was right during that time. Well, okay. Also during that time, my dad passed away. My mom had just passed away a few years earlier. So all of a sudden it's like, gosh, there's been a lot of changes going on here. I had some things keeping me on the right side of, the right side of things, but there was definitely challenges along the way, just, personally. So I kind of just decided at some point, like looked around, hey, look at all this stuff you got going for yourself here. Take a step back. What got you here in the first place? And it wasn't necessarily some of the things I was doing in my life at that point. Mm-hmm. So I just decided, hey, let's get this thing back on track. And I'm still young enough to have volume 2 here of life, and let's get there. And I got to tell you, I'm proud of myself, because I didn't go too much down a path that I shouldn't be going on. Just a little bit enough to see that, hey, I like it over here, but not liking it that much. I need to go over here. And I don't think some people have that awareness. So I'm pretty happy that I did that.
Yeah. And I'm really proud of you too, because I've been able to kind of watch your journey from afar. And it's been really amazing to see how you've gone through that period of transition and then really come out just in this amazing place. And so one of the things I want to ask, because I know a lot of people find themselves in this position. I work with a lot of executives who are, contemplating retirement. And they're like, whoa, like, what am I going to do in retirement? They're kind of starting to feel lost. So what are some powerful questions that you asked yourself during that time when you were trying to figure out how you were going to recreate yourself?
For recreating myself, or for selling the company and moving into that piece?
Figuring out what your next chapter was.
Yeah.
What did you ask yourself? Like, what sets my soul on fire? Like, what are some of the questions?
Yeah. Well, what's awesome is if I would have known it was going to happen, I would have been so much better prepared, because I would have had a plan. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like for me, it was so quick. I get a phone call from this private equity firm, and I have 90 days to make a move, and it ends up just happening really fast. Mm-hmm. Like the example you give with executives looking at retiring, oh gosh, what a better situation to be in, because they could plan this thing out. And I wish I had that luxury. I just didn't have it on my mind. So I guess the awareness I came to was, even though I was so laser focused on work in my life, and really just making money, what could I do? What else makes me happy? And for me, it was maybe it was some of the things that came because of the money, the things I could do with the money. But really it didn't matter. Like, really spending more time with my friends. I reach out and take like my cousin's kids out to pizza, and maybe we're going to Cabo San Lucas or the Bahamas, but that's only because we could afford to. We'd probably just have great of a time if we went to the Wisconsin Dells or Lake Geneva. You know what I mean? That really has nothing to do with it. So drawing some, some things like that really kind of I found value in. Now, a lot of people talk about golf. I don't like to golf. I feel like golfing is kind of just a way to hide from your wife, or I hide from something in life. I'm single, so I didn't have a wife to hide from, I guess. And I'm sorry for offending you golfers, but I think really just like I said, I was in a reactionary mode where I had to figure this out. Like pull myself. If I had that luxury that some of your clients probably have, I would have been in a better place to do. Well, I guess I would have been in a place to do it much more smoothly. Yeah.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about, you mentioned having a plan, and do you feel like it's necessary? Do you feel that it's necessary to always have a plan before you make your next move? Or do you sometimes kind of figure things out one step at a time?
Well, I've listened to your show and we've talked personally. So I would imagine your answer to that, Pam, would be that the universe kind of takes care of things.
Now you're speaking my language, buddy.
I might be a little bit more meticulous on my thought, and I don't know if meticulous is the right word because I don't want to suggest that you're not meticulous, but I would look at it. I look at it a little bit differently than you, especially for decisions like this. You know what I mean? Now that said, we'll go back to me selling my company again, or I'll use two examples with when I got custody of my son. He lived in Texas. I'd been visiting him his whole life, and he's very close to me. But I wasn't, I was the non geographical, non-custody, out of state, parent. And some circumstances, kind of happened fast that we had to change that arrangement. And I didn't have time to think about it. You know what I mean? I'm living downtown Chicago at the Trump Tower. I'm in my 30s. I'm single. I'm walking to work each day, whistling to work. And hey, if I want to go to the beach after work, if I want to get happy, there wasn't a care of the world. And, now every other weekend or every few weeks, I was flying down to Texas to see my son, or, in the summer, he'd come spend a lot of time with me. But it's a big difference. You know what I mean? So boom, boom, boom. So I think in that regard, I would just take a step back. Okay, what's big picture here? And everything I just listed is very selfish. That's not important, in the big picture. And I didn't have to convince myself that. I already knew that. So it's really a no-brainer to make that move with my son. But it still happened fast, and there wasn't really a plan. You know what I mean? Crap. He's got to go to school somewhere. And, we're in the Chicago public schools there that we could just walk into. It's December. He needs to be in school January 5th. Yeah, he was in rural Texas, or not rural, suburban Texas. And now he's going to go to Chicago public school. And the one he would have went to was halfway decent. But gosh, around that time, his grandparents are kind of scratching their head because they watch the news, and Chicago on the news didn't, it was a little scary for everybody, I think, right or wrong. But, go shoot. Let's find a private school to go to him. Okay, great. We got that covered. Okay, now we're in it. He's going to private school. Okay, now what's next? You know what? Do I really want to be raising my kid at the Trump Tower? Is that where I went? It's not how I was raised. I was raised in Schaumburg, Illinois, and I like how I was raised. So, the doorman opening the door and saying good morning, sir, to him every morning. Is that the lifestyle? Not to mention around, right around then is when Trump ran for president. So it's like, protesters in front of your building screaming at you on top of it. Not at us, but like it might as well have been. We lived there. Pivot, be ready. Okay, now what's in our best interest? Our best interest was, to buy a house in the suburbs. Okay, John, you and your son are going to go live in a big house out in the suburbs. And well, yeah, that's what we decided to do. And rented my place out at the Trump. And right, I limped into that. For a year, I kept it still without renting it out because I felt like I would still want to be down there. But honestly, after about a year of being out here, I'm like, I don't need to be in the city. If I need to be in the city, I'll get a hotel room. I don't need to get that place. I rented it out. So I guess that's kind of a long answer to your question, but when I sold my company, it was kind of the same thing. I knew this was going to be in my best interest because I felt like what they were going to do for my family and future generations of my family financially, it was like a bird in the hand. I could either keep building this or wait, they're going to give me this right now. You know what I mean? A bird in the hand's worth more than two in the bush. I'm just going to take it. I'm going to take it. And I knew that was the right plan for me, but it happened fast. Yeah. Just like when I got custody of my son, it happened fast. Okay, now what do we do with this? Right. So I feel like the universe kind of does take care of things, but you still gotta use your brain in that process and make intelligent moves in that process.
Yeah, 100%. And it really is it's a co-creation process, right? We can't just sit back and expect the universe to make magic happen in our lives, right? So I view it as like partnering with the universe, right? We can keep the big picture in mind, put our intention out there. And then, we have to take spiritually aligned action steps. But one of the main points I wanted to make is that we don't have to have all the details figured out. And I think that's where a lot of people get really tripped up sometimes, is they feel like if they don't have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed before they embark on their new mission, then they shouldn't start. And so I think it's important to, again, keep the big picture in mind, incorporate elements of faith and trust that the right people will be put in your path, at the right times. In much the same way, you introduced me to my business manager, Gabe, who, at the beginning, all I needed was a small website. And all of a sudden, when you're aligned with the right people, it's totally synergistic. So he and his company, shout out to Business Marketing Engine, has just done a phenomenal job of helping me build my business. But it's just about, again, showing up, right? You show up with your open mind and an open heart and your intentions out there, and the universe will align you with the right people at the right time. And I think it's so cool how our paths crossed, and now we're here spreading your message on this show, which is a really powerful one. In your last response, one of the words that you used was actually a great tee up, a great segue to my next question that I have on tap for you. And that is around the idea of adversity. I believe that learning to deal with adversity, view adversity as a gift, learning how to pivot, use the word pivot, be nimble when life throws you circumstances that you don't foresee, is a huge, huge attribute. And I know that you had to do that earlier in your career when you had plans of playing for the NFL, and life had other plans for you. So I'd love to hear you talk about the importance of learning to deal with adversity.
Yeah, I use this in my personal life as well as my professional life. And I talk about keeping your head on a swivel. And another way to say it is being opportunistic. All right. If you're opportunistic and keep your head on a swivel, you're going to find the desired outcome. If you don't, you could get flattened. Okay. And this is both personally and professionally. So in football, all right, I played football in college, and I like to make these analogies. I did it for my employees when training. I kind of do it for my kids, and just in general in life, I make football analogies. So if you don't keep your head on a swivel in football and you're not looking around, someone's going to blindside you, and you're going to be knocked on your rear end. Okay, the same is true for life. All right, if you're not constantly paying attention on both an offensive and defensive mindset of your head on a swivel, looking for opportunities, looking for threats, that's the outcome you're going to get in life too. Okay. So I feel like, one of the cliches, I guess you would say, is, what do you do with lemons? You make lemonade, right? I don't think I would go that far with my analogy, but there is an upside almost every situation, I think. I'll talk about one. I mean, for instance, in college, all right, I was playing football at the University of Notre Dame. And anyone that knows about college football would know that, Notre Dame's, you got to be pretty good to play there. And, it was high school All-American and, all that stuff. All right. Well, 2 years into my career there at Notre Dame, have a little incident happen off of the field. When you're 19 years old, you think you know everything. You don't agree with the university's decision and maybe on how they were going to discipline you. And, maybe, it's a Catholic university, they have rules, and I don't know. Well, and it wasn't anything majorly serious, by the way. I don't want to alarm your listeners, but the reality was that I was going to be suspended for a semester. And that semester happened to be in the fall, where I just happened to be the starting tight end on the football team. Okay. Well, it was an altercation with another teammate on, off the field. And, everybody, all right, the Chicago Tribune does this big article about it. The Chicago Sun-Times, back when everyone actually read the newspaper. I decide, okay, gosh, you know what? Everyone's in my head now. This is kind of BS. I got to get the heck out of here. So I decided I'm going to transfer. Everyone's like, oh yeah, well, the Notre Dame people are like, well, let him transfer, if he doesn't want to be here. That's how Notre Dame people think. Oh, we're like arrogant. By the way, I'm still a Notre Dame fan. I'm reading the coffee right now. So, but that's just the Notre Dame mindset. You walk into a room with 1,000 lawyers. How do you know which one went to Notre Dame? They'll tell you. That's how you know. But so anyway, we're kind of people telling me they'll let the door kick me in the rear end. At the time, University of Miami was kind of like the thug school. So was Nebraska, Ohio State, kind of like the borderline, criminal types of guys was kind of the reputation on those schools. So everyone's waiting for me to transfer to one of those schools. And I decide to transfer to Northwestern University. Okay. Wow. No one's going to call Northwestern the Northwestern kids a bunch of thugs. You know what I mean? Yeah. And in the long run, it did two things for me, right? It got rid of like, whoa, wait a minute, maybe we had this guy wrong. Okay. Mm-hmm. He's actually leaving for principal reasons. Now, as a 45-year-old, maybe those principles are a little bit different as a 19-year-old, but I was leaving for what I felt as good reason at the time. Okay, wait, and he's choosing to leave here to go to Northwestern. Okay. We actually respect the Northwestern kids as so anyway, that's kind of an example of just, okay, how do you face adversity? And, years later now as an adult, it's kind of funny because my head coach at Notre Dame at the time was trying not to get me to transfer. And he goes, John, if you transfer, when you're 40 years old, you're going to be telling this story for the rest of your life on why you left Notre Dame to go to Northwestern. Mm-hmm. And he's damn straight right I am. Yeah. And people ask me all the time, but guess what? I got a good answer, and I'm pretty damn proud of it because I could say, hey, not only was I good enough to go to Notre Dame and play football, because people look at you, oh, you went to Notre Dame, you must have been a hell of a football player. Yeah, guess what? I played football at Northwestern too. Oh, wow. You must have been pretty damn smart. Mm-hmm. They're both good at football. They're both good academically. Right. But that's the perception. All right. So depending on my audience, I'll either bring up Notre Dame or Northwestern. You know what I mean? So I think that's just an example of how I've looked at life and how I've reacted to things. My kid's mom is another example. We, a lot of people have difficulty co-parenting. They're not in a position after a divorce to do well. Her and her husband are over at my house for dinner. We've gone on vacations together, and it's not an act. We actually like each other. They're Greek. They invite me over for Greek Easter. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if it's a different day than regular Easter, if it's the same day, we might have some conflicts there, but anyhow, that's just kind of how I've approached things in life, and pretty happy with the outcomes.
Yeah, you're doing a phenomenal job. And I think a big piece of that is choice, right? I mean, how we respond to situations. Within our choice to deal with things and respond and pivot and have a healthy, positive mindset, or we can stay stuck, right? And it really is, we can make that choice every single day, regardless of the situation. Yep. Where I'd like to go next is I'd like to talk about relationships. And don't worry, we're not going to go through dating history or anything.
Might be here for a while.
Right. Yeah. How many hours do you guys have? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I'd like to talk about relationships because, one of the concerns that I have, while I love that we live in this tech area and I think it's fantastic, that technology can keep us, can connect us to people all over the world, et cetera. As we move more and more in that direction, I believe that, technology can also, while it has many merits and benefits, it can also provide the illusion of connection. And we aren't necessarily, connecting with people at the depths if we're constantly just hiding behind a screen, messaging, et cetera. So I know that you're really big on networking, building relationships, getting out there, meeting with people. You're a phenomenal connector, et cetera. So I'd like to hear you talk about the importance of intentionally prioritizing relationships in life and in business.
Yeah. And technology goes beyond just the dating world. It's really everything, right? It's like, I remember seeing a comic book strip like 20 years ago, and it was like two people sitting back to back in their cubicles, and the one emailing him a question, hey, could you throw me the coffee? And that was like such a hilarious, oh God, that's what we're, people didn't think it was like a real thing. That's like totally people would do regularly right now.
Right. When I was going to say though, guilty as charged, because sometimes I text my kids upstairs like, hey, could you bring my purse down?
Yeah, exactly. And, and just, it was only 20 years ago where people were looking at that like, a funny, hilarious, outrageous concept. You know what I mean? Oh, this is what's going to happen one day. Yeah, I've really made a point, or I've tried to make a point to spend more time with people that matter in my life. And I kind of try to look at the world a little bit differently, because maybe I'm in a position where I'm not locked to a desk like some of my friends are, or family members are. Really, a lot of us are just in life, that you're working more than you're enjoying life. So I've decided that I'm going to be the one to initiate. Okay, we always say the phone rings both ways, right? Mm-hmm. Well, okay, I'm going to just make up a name. I don't know any Ricardos, so I'm going to say Ricardo, because I don't want my friends to think I'm talking about them. But oh gosh, Ricardo, I haven't heard from him in like 2 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, has he heard from you? You know what I mean? So I've really kind of made that a priority, and I have different avenues that I do it. I've actually written it down. So once a month, I'll reach out to at least 2 old business associates from a professional standpoint, even though we don't have anything related to talk to, but they've helped me in some regard, or we've had a mutual respect of some sort together. Ask them out for coffee or lunch, or if it's appropriate, a beer. And then I'll do 2 old friends that I've kind of lost touch with. Mm-hmm. All right. So same thing. And then I'll also do 2 family members, but my family, not my like close family, more like the people I only see at funerals or weddings. You know what I mean? Why am I waiting for a funeral or someone to die or someone to get married before I talk to you? When we see each other once every 2 years, we have a blast, and they're like, hey, how's it going? Yeah. But why wait? I don't want to cheer for someone to die so I could hang out with you and your wife again. You guys were pretty cool. You know what I mean? And not just the ones I think are cool, just anyone that's in my family, I really place value on.
Yeah, I love that system that you have. I may need to steal that page out of your playbook. I love that, sure. About being intentional and formalizing it. Mm-hmm. 2 more questions before we wrap up. One of the things I know that, you talk a lot about being a dad and creating meaningful experiences with your kids. And I know that you just do such a great job of helping to nurture the entrepreneurial spirit in them. Yeah. And I think that is something that, is so important for parents to do, particularly entrepreneurs, parents like, you, me, who it comes naturally for, how to spot that and how to nurture it. So what are some of the things that you do in your life to nurture that spirit in your kids?
Yeah. So my son, he just turned 14, but I've been doing this with him since he's 12. We watch on CNBC, by the way, every 5 nights a week. They have a Shark Tank marathon from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Time. So you can watch 15 episodes a week right there if you really wanted to. So one of the things that I'll do is my son and I will watch it together, and I'll pause the TV, and before they say what they're going to say, okay, what's Mark Cuban about to say right here, Jake? How do you think he's going to react to what that person just said? Or they'll say, okay, they're raising $100,000 on a $2 million. They're raising $100,000. They want 5% of their company for $100,000. And then I'll stop it. I go, okay, Jake, what do you think the valuation is of that company? And then we'll calculate it. And you know what I mean? So just little things like that. Now he has a genuine interest in it. So it's, pretty easy to do because he likes this stuff. He doesn't see this as work. He thinks it's kind of a fun little game. If I did something similar to that in an area that he was not interested in, and he'll like probably pretend he didn't hear me and go play with the dogs or something. But in answering your question, I try to do for my kids, things that maybe I didn't have when I was growing up. I had awesome parents, and we were really an athletic family. We focused a lot on football and sports, and academics were important, but maybe, football was really the mindset. My dad was a football coach. I'm trying to, I breed that in my kids, but I also am trying to bring other areas into their life. So like, for instance, the arts. I took them to New York City. This summer we're going to Paris, and we're going to do, not just the tourist stuff. We're going to go look at, we're going to go to the Louvre. We're going to look at the history of the Eiffel Tower and why it's there. When I took them to the Statue of Liberty, it wasn't just the ferry ride. We actually were learning, okay, why is this there? Oh, Ellis Island's over there. Let's take the tour. Oh my gosh, this is where the people checked in. You know what I mean? Stuff they learn in school, but just really culturally doing that. And, I took them to see the play Wicked, which they loved. They couldn't believe how much they loved it. So I think the entrepreneurial piece of this kind of falls into that same category. I didn't grow up with business-minded people. They're, like I said, teachers, a lot of principals, like police officers in my family, a Teamster, all great people with great jobs, but I'm really the only one that went in that entrepreneurial route. So, will my son be in that much better of a position in life if he does have that same mindset as me, to actually learn this stuff on the way? And that's just kind of how I look at it.
Yeah. Well said. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So my next question.
Yeah.
Do you ever plan to retire?
Well, Pam, I tried that once and it didn't go well for 4 months. And I'm like, oh crap, I better do something before I fall off the end of the earth here. Yeah, no, that was kind of what I was alluding to earlier. That I need to not retire, I think, but I do. I'm making a joke here. I'm self-deprecating, by the way, for your listeners. I'm self-deprecating more than I need to be. I'm just being funny. Yeah, I do think so. But I'll tell you what, though. Randy Walker was my football coach at Northwestern University, one of my football coaches. And he, rest in peace, he passed away unexpectedly when he was only 53. But he used to tell us when we graduated as seniors, he would say, find a job you love doing and you'll never work a day in your life. Okay. I'm sure he's not the first person that said that, but he's the first person I heard it from. And I truly feel like I'm doing that right now. I'm doing venture capital. I'm helping entrepreneurs out that not only need capital, but also might need some advisement. So they're banking on my experiences, my network, just any advice that I could give them in addition to my capital. And I'm watching them really do the heavy lifting to grow their companies. So this is fun. This is fun. I don't see it as work. So, I don't know if I'll ever retire, I guess, if that's considered work.
Yeah, great answer. Yeah, and I feel much the same way. Somebody asked me recently, like, what do you think you're going to do when you retire? And I'm like, retire from what? Right? Like, retire from what? When you're doing what you truly love, like you said, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like play. It feels like a spiritual calling. It feels like I can't wait to get up every day and have amazing conversations with some brilliant, the brilliant leaders of the world like you, et cetera. And it totally fuels me. And as long as I've got a computer and other people who are willing to talk to me, then, just keep doing what you're doing. So,
right. I love it.
So we are just about wrapped up, but I wanted to give you the floor for a couple more minutes here to talk about anything else. If there's anything else you wanted to mention about your business, anything else you'd like to promote, where people can reach you, et cetera.
Well, thanks, Pam. I've been doing these podcasts lately. And by the way, you talk about if you love doing what you're doing. I looked into having my own podcast, Pam, and there's a lot of work that goes along with doing a podcast and promoting it properly. So hats off to you that you don't see, especially that you don't see that as work, because I'm like, you know what, I'll more than happily just be a guest on other people's podcasts instead of doing my own, because it is a lot of work that you guys put into this. So congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, in this process, since I've been doing these podcasts and, they all talk about different things. A lot of them are really more business related than everything that we talked about. But I've really been encouraged to, to try to appeal to the masses a little bit more than I have been. I've been pushing my Instagram lately just because it's such an easy platform to do it on, or such a good platform to do it on, with business advice, really for those people with the entrepreneurial spirit. So at John Cerasani is my Instagram. And additionally, I am writing a book that will be coming out later this year. The working title is called The 2000% Raise. And I'm using my background as a guide to helping people look and see the pitfalls they might have working in corporate America, and the path you could take to go into business for yourself, really doing the same job in the same industry that you're already doing in your corporate environment. So expecting big things from that. Maybe I'll be hitting you up again to be on your show to promote that a little bit more, Pam, in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. By all means, you're more than
Mm.
welcome to come back for round two, the
Yeah,
encore, right?
thank
So,
you.
all right. Well, thank you so much again for being here, John. I so appreciate you taking time out of your busy jet setting life over there to come chat with me and share all of your knowledge and wisdom with our viewers and listeners. Thank you to our viewers and listeners. You guys are amazing. As you know, I so appreciate you and the fact that you choose to be here and commit to growth every single day. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day. Bye.